Blood on her hands is an insanely strong specialization, often allowing Kassai to force-swing her way to victory. Basically, it's its own one-card combo. With 6 copper and Courage of Blade hold up, Blood on her hands can completely swing tempo, if not just outright end the game. That said, being short of the 6 copper mark does not mean the card is merely pitch or defense fodder. In fact, I'm here to argue why there are reasons to consider playing it even at 2 or 3 copper, versus just tossing it for an early defense. So, are you maximizing the value from your Blood on her hands plays? Are you taking full advantage of this card? In today's video, we'll discuss. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks, and welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast where we talk all things flesh and blood. But today, my girl Kassai. Now, Kassai is extremely popular in Blitz, and as pointed out in my recap of 2022 Blitz, she was one of the top 5 most winning heroes. That said, I still see players consistently make suboptimal plays with her, and one of the most commonly overlooked is Blood on her hands. No kids, you do not have to wait for 6 copper to make an impact with this card. Now, the holidays may be finally behind us, but guess what's right around the corner? That's right, fam, it's Valentine's Day. And unless you're one of the lucky few whose partner likes overly priced cardboard, you might be looking for gifts for, I know it, even those non-gamers in your life. And that's why today's, yes, 100% unpaid sponsor is none other than My Sister. Created by Kristen, offers handcrafted knits, prints, wearables, and trinkets for all the live, laugh lovers in your life. My personal favorite is her wine tote. You're not drinking alone if the dog's home. Boy, do I feel that, fam. And the best part, they're all handmade by none other than Kristen herself, right here in the middle of the heart of the US of A. So go on over and check her out and make an order. All proceeds go directly to supporting her family. Now, Kassai had already been a relatively strong hero, but with the release of Blood on her hands in Everfest, it enabled her to apply pressure all game long. This new tool for Kassai allows her to do what she wanted to do anyways, double swing away, and build up that copper for a massive turn. Any hit, no matter how small, produces copper, putting the opponent on effectively a ticking clock on Kassai's ultimate. Blood on her hands is a yellow, zero-cost non-attack action card that allows players to spend, effectively, up to 6 copper tokens in order to choose from 3 modes, each of which can be chosen twice. For each copper spent, a weapon can be given +1 attack for the turn, go again for the turn, or the ability to attack twice that turn. Do note that playing multiple Blood on her hands in the same turn will still only effectively enable a maximum of 4 attacks, because the card says attack twice instead of attack an additional time. There is no net bonus for giving attack twice a second time. Now, once you're at 6 copper, it's pretty clear what to do with this card. I think many Kassai players will find, though, that to a certain extent the game is nearly already won by this point, and BoHH just takes it across the finish line. Today, I'm here to argue that there are often times in-game where you draw BoHH before you're full up on copper, but can still effectively use it to your advantage and can swing tempo in your direction. I'm going to show you with some visuals how to maximize the efficiency of those sub-ultimate copper turns. A bonus of this is, remember, you get the copper back on your Blood on her hands turns as long as you hit. So in a few of these cases, you can actually threaten a net neutral copper turn. Now, as we get into these cases, let's just get this out of the way up front. At 1 copper, Blood on her hands is simply a high-cost yellow hit and run. Not only is it bad value, but you're very unlikely to get that copper token back. As such, do not play this card and spend the copper if you aren't able to attack 3 times. And obviously, unless you're in a real pinch or absolutely need to throw a Hail Mary for tempo, do not pop Courage unless you're swinging 4 times. What you're seeing across the screen right now is my summary table for the optimal uses of 2, 3, 4, 5, and then of course 6 copper with Blood on her hands. We will be referring back to this table throughout the video. First up is our 2 copper situation, which, yes, is obviously the least desirable. That said, with 2 copper and a single blue pitch, a 2-card hand, we can enable 3 swings that threaten a base damage of 6 and leaves 1 floating to feed bracers on a weapon hit. In this case, the same Saber is given goes and attacks twice. This allows a 2-3, 2-3, and 2-3, leaving 1 floating for hijinks. You'll notice the nomenclature that I've chosen to use for this cast, and that's not an exponent, but rather my attempt at showing that it's threatening 3 with an attack action block. That will be consistent throughout this video. If we're being honest, a 2-card hand that threatens a minimum of 7 presented damage across 3 attacks is pretty decent. Just ask Aria. Furthermore, if they no block, you actually net your copper back. At 3 copper is where things really start to sing. In fact, I would argue that a 3 copper usage of blood in our hands is, potentially, the most efficient use of your copper until we get up to 5 or more. Choosing +1, goes, and swing twice all in the same Saber enables a 3-4, 3-4, and 2-3, while leaving 1 floating for hijinks and threatening backfill of copper. Even with no other cards in hand, yes, Bracers remains on. 8 base damage with a bonus threat is nothing to sneeze at for a 2 minimum card turn. At 4 copper, the options really start opening up. This is the first tier where we're able to do 4 attacks, but my argument here is that that's not the right play. Instead, at 4 copper, we're going to choose +1, goes, swing twice, and then +1 again, but targeting the same weapon. Remember, nothing here says we have to choose different targets for each mode. As such, we create a 4-5, 4-5, and 2-3. Again, all with BoHH and 1 blue in hand and still floating 1 for your hijinks. This selection is much preferable to using goes twice for each weapon, which is yes 4 attacks, but only presents 8 base damage and leaves no floating. Now sure, if you're in a situation where you have a ton of free hijinks in your hand, like in the swing or such, then you need to make a decision in the moment. But as a base starting point, this is the most efficient use of your copper. At 5 coppers, we're basically already there at our ultimate. Each weapon gets goes and swing twice, and 1 weapon gets our +1. This enables 4 swings, 3-4, 2-3, 3-4, and 2-3, but consumes a full blue, or requires us to pop Courage. Popping Courage means a true 1-card hand with blood in our hands, and probably means you have other tricks up your sleeve. As you can see, once you look at it on paper, often enough a 5-card blood in our hands can do what you need it to do. Once we get to 6 copper, you do have a decision to make depending on not only what hero you're up against, but also who you're playing. Do you put the +1s on the same weapon, creating a 4-5 and a 2-3, or do you balance it out going 3-4 all the way? I typically find it's best to do the 3-4 because remember those Saber bonuses carry for the turn, but you'll have to decide in the moment. That said, 3-4 across the board is almost certainly the preferred play. It makes blocking math very difficult and forces blocks, which oftentimes works to your advantage. Out for blood, anyone? So one last time, I'll throw the table up across the screen of my recommended modes to choose for each level of copper. If you found today's video useful, I'd really appreciate very much a comment and a like. Let me know if you disagree, if this was helpful, or any other advice you may have to fellow Kassai players. Thanks to you all for being who you are, for checking in, and if nothing else folks, go Commando.